turning our own perfect Morse tapers in wood to make all kinds of interesting little gadgets and gizmos for smaller projects. So take it away, Doug.
All right. Now, well, why do wooden Morse tapers? Well, the thing is, they're very easy to make. The drive, this has a hole that fits on my live center with a cup. Do it, easy peasy. Or you can buy cup centers and everything on the internet or on Rockler or whatever for 20, 30 bucks. Or you can make your own for scrap wood. Now, one of the things with Morse tapers is that you've got a taper that is 1.43 degrees. And at this end, the small end, it is 0.70 inch. And at the top end, it is 0.572 inch. And in between, it's 2.56 inches long. So none of us want to deal with this. And so I've come up with a different way to make it easy to replicate this by using this as a guide. And we're just going to follow this actual taper. One of the things now we got to do is to replicate this. You need a Morse taper that has a point and has a little hole at the end, right here. Some Morse tapers, it's just black, it's just solid. You need one with a hole for registration. Now, there's different ways to do it. I just make up a little piece of wood, put that in. Not tight, doesn't have to be. And now you have to put this in the middle. How do you find the middle? Well, you can take a spindle gouge and find the middle, or I just take this. There's my middle. Done. The reason I have this quill out so far is we're not going to turn on it. We're just going to use it as a registration. In. Done. Now we have to replicate this. Easiest way to replicate it is to put this up against it. Well, you can't really do that because all these Morse tapers are a little bit high on this end. So what I have is I just use a little block and I put it in between that gets this in here like this. And this fits, and now this is parallel to that. But the thing is, you're going to be moving this around. So what you have to do is you have to set up a standard. For me, the square is to this bed, and this is locked in. So this is 90 degrees to here, period. Now I pull this up, kiss this to where it's about there. Now that is 90 degrees. I now take my block. What do I do with my block?
It's on top.
Oh, there we go. And what I do is I loosen this, but I just do it just enough that I can move it back and forth. All right, that is now parallel. Lock it down, and you're not going to move this at all. But now, that's off. This is squared to here, which is squared.
It's not square right now.
It doesn't matter.
But your banjo's not square right now.
But it will be
It will be.
when
Right.
it sets it up.
So, because I've already, as soon as I lock this down, I can take this away, take these out, and I'm done. Now, we take this out. We take this off. Lock that down. Yep. Don't need this. Don't need that. We'll take this. We're going to go right here, a little mark here. And then we're going to go up 2.5 inches. Just a little bit more because it was 2.56, so add a little 1/16 of an inch. Like so. Now, I can move this all the way around and it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter with this because this is off center. So let's take this off. Let's move this back. Come out so I can get in here like that. All right. Now, next thing we do, parting tool.
So your tool rest is at the angle of the Morse taper.
This is the angle of the Morse taper. Right now it's parallel. So if I have to do anything, I can go in. It doesn't matter because I'm not doing the Morse taper right now. I want a straight in cut. So take this out, put this back in. Now, you got to set this up on the tool height because if you move this, loosen it, you're going to lose your 1.43 degree angle. So now we're going to do is, here's this. That's the end of it. Go to my other one. Now I come out a little extra 1/8 inch, so I'm going to move this line over an 1/8 inch. We'll take this down to 3/4. There we go.
What are the calipers set to?
That one was 3/4.
Just as a
The
placeholder?
actual taper is .705 instead of .75. So I always want to go a little bit more because we're going to now rough it down. I don't need as much over here, so I'm going to just taking this off a little so I can get my tools in there. And my tool rest.
There, Doug, did you go down to 3/4 inch on both sides initially, and then you're going to taper to one end, or is that?
This is 3/4.
And what's that?
This one is just over a half.
All right, I thought so.
Okay, that's proud. Now we're going to, that's literally roughed in. Now we come back to this.
Can
Now-
you use the tail stock to get perpendicular? Isn't that the face of the?
No, what I'm doing is I need this banjo
Perpendicular.
perpendicular.
What I'm saying is, can you use the butt end of the base of the tail stock to do that?
No, because I want this next to here because I can go back and forth with this. I can't really move this. I am going to, with this lathe, I have to move it out a little.
You could if everything was just so, but if you have to move the tail piece or the banjo, the tool wrist, if you have to move the tool wrist left and right, then the tail stock is going to get in the way.
See, I have a robust, and I don't have all this. This just comes down straight. And so this is a lot bulkier, and and everything else. So now I come in and I put this on my there, and I come up close to where I want it. And I get this as parallel. That is now, this is parallel to this, which means this is 1.43. Next little trick. Put a little wax on your tool rest. Put a little wax on your knuckle. Next is you can come down and you put this here, you put this in here like this, and you use your fingers as the guide. And your finger is, back of your fingers are going in parallel with the tool rest. You move it in, it goes in parallel with the tool rest. That's where you get your parallel parts. And I need a little bit more wax up here on my... Okay. So now we go and we put this in, and I bring this up, and I grip this, and I stand with my feet apart, because if you stand like this, with your feet close together and go like this changes angles. If you go like this and go like that, it changes angles. You keep your feet down, you bend your knees as shock absorbers, then you put this in, and then when you go side by side, you move with your hips. So this always stays the same distance, same angle, no up and down, no left and right. You're going back and forth. That's where you get to keep your parallel. Now I can't get in there because of this. So what other tool looks like this at the end?
Just a square scraper.
Bottom bowl gouge.
Bottom bowl gouge. It's just a small roughing gouge. Go in here like this, and it's made to go along the bottom, which is basically like the bottom of the tool. So I come in here like this, get my fingers straight, this only goes up to 1200. I run mine at 3000.
Could you use a square scraper?
You could. Yes, you could do the same.
Like a band.
But, well, no, because you're getting the ridges. What you can do is use,
If you don't have a bottom bolt gap. Squares.
a skew as a scraper. Which I use as a finishing tool. I see half a hair of light through that. Now here's the test. Get out your digital calipers. Get this out. Remember what I said before? If you put the two of them together, they're parallel.
Or you can just take your chuck off and just shove it in your drive center.
So this,
Didn't like that.
at this end, this should be exactly the same amount. So if I go into here, zeroed out,
Okay.
So where'd you get this?
1.274. Over here, one point two six. With this stick, this eliminates the need to use a Morse Taper drive shaft to replicate. You put this in here, bring this up, register that, so now that's steady. Then you could take this up, and with this being parallel to the base, all you do is you bring this up until it matches and touches this here. Now you are at 1.43 degrees, and that way you don't have to mess with this, trying to hold it in place and with a spacer and everything else.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Good job.
Put along here. Now once you get done with this, you don't need a small one. You could use a carpenter square, speed square, or something else, and you just hold it up against that and you just push it right up and you loosen that a little bit until this moves, and when that touches that and that's parallel, you're done and you're done. So you don't have to go through the whole thing with the little one. You just make one master, and you're all set to do more. And what I do is I usually do half a dozen of these and just keep them off to the side. So if I have to change something, one's a cup, one's if you're doing a bottle stopper and you need to do one with a 3/8 or a 1/4 inch or whatever. I have different ones that have a 3-inch tenon, a 1/4 inch tenon. So I just slap that in, put that in there, and I've got my registration. Or if you got to do something different, you can go and do that. And that's the great part of it. You don't have to do all these setups and everything else. Questions? Now, if you look at this, this has pins plus on it. This does not. Because you do not want to introduce any varnish or anything else inside here. And I put it here because it's nice and easy. I like it. You could use it. But it also it seals it so no dust gets into the pores. This is walnut I happen to have. You could use hard rock, you could use oak, you could do anything. But make sure it is straight grain. Because if it's not straight grain, when it gets humid out, it will warp on you. Straight grain won't. As straight as you can get. And that's it. Another thing is if you want, you can build a long Morse taper. And Gerald Stutz, who belongs to Southwest and Cascade, he told me that he made one, and he cut a little, put it on bandsaw or a little handsaw, and scored it deep, and he puts a little sheet of emery paper in it and wraps it around. He uses that to clean out his Morse taper. His is, again, like 2, 3, 4, 5 thousandth of a second off. But with the slot, you put your emery paper in there and then wrap it around. And you can only turn it in one direction. Or unless you hold it at the top, and then you can wiggle it a little bit or go back in, and it keeps it all that. That's dirty inside, Dave.
I don't doubt it.
But any questions?
That was great.
Very good.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, one other tip
thin. Not the thin.
on this. When you finish this, before you take this off, take your parting tool and reduce this about 1/8 of an inch so it's smaller at the end. Because if it does get stuck in there, instead of use your metal drawbar to pop it out, when it hits, it expands the wood fibers, and if it's smaller, it makes no difference. If you hit it with this, it'll expand the end ones. So you could either camphor it, or I just use it and take it down another 1/16 of an inch. Makes no difference. But that's if you want to use the drawbar and pop it out, it won't hurt you overall. Done. And if you do see it, you can always clean it up with some sandpaper. Take the fringes off and that. But you don't want to sand with this anything less than 320, because then you're removing wood. I'm just taking the fuzzies off.